Pomona Drag Strip, In-N-Out Burgers. It's just Southern California, and one cool Southern California boy is trying to keep drag racing history alive in the A Fuel ranks along with his race team from the West Coast. That's Trevor Larkin and Greg Racing. They're next on the CompetitionPlus.com Peak Pit Note. Trevor Larkin, a Southern California boy. Trevor, why the odd headpiece on your helmet, though? Only guy in A-Fuel doing something like that. Maybe the only guy in drag racing right now.
You got to be different. You got to be back in the day, the guys would have, like, the front engine top fuel guys, they'd have these feathers and plumes and the long rat noses, and everyone tried to be different because back then it was all silver suits, and the helmet was what gave the drivers their character. So I'm not out here to be anybody else. I'm here to be me. So I want to be that standout that makes it just a little more memorable than somebody else.
Trevor, we've been talking off camera that this place, now In-N-Out Burgers Pomona Drag Strip, is extremely special to you personally, and then you as a drag racer and understanding the history of this sport.
The history that's come through these gates. I was talking with some other drivers, even I think Johnny Otten posted it too. When you come through these gates, even on like a Wednesday, when people are starting to set up, the history at this venue, there's nothing like it. This is the birthplace of drag racing. Southern California is where drag racing got its first bearings, on abandoned airstrips that then moved to, a facility that had lanes and had crowds, and NHRA came on board. What's cool here is on the property is the NHRA Museum. If you haven't been there yet, check that out. It talks you all through the history of the sport. They got probably a good 100 cars on display there. That is cool to see the lineage of how cars used to be. Nowadays, I look at the old cars that are the original cars, and I wouldn't drive that. There's no safety to it, but that's what the guys did. That's what they did. They had such a love for the sport. They were building cars just to go out with their friends and do cool stuff on weekends.
Competing in an A-Fuel dragster may be more challenging than ever in 2023. What is it like in this bad hot rod, and what is the conditions like in competition this very weekend with 19 cars on the property?
19 cars, only the top 16 get to race Saturday afternoon. Our speeds and times, if you go back 10 or so years in NHRA footage, we're running the old nitro times of 10 years ago. Times and speeds, not speeds, but so much, but the nitro class is forever advancing on today's level of the top fuel stuff because they're running 1,000 foot. We still run the 1320 full quarter mile, but man, the advances on a lot of these cars are old top fuel cars. This one happens to be the old In-N-Out Burger Dragster. Not a lot of people know that. Greg drove it for the last 14 years, and then he's had different drivers throughout the last couple years. But this is the old original In-N-Out Burger car. Melanie Troxel drove it. I believe one of the Pedregons drove it when Jerry Darian owned it. But it's kind of cool to bring the former In-N-Out Burger car to the In-N-Out Burger Raceway to race at, the most prestige facility that usually starts and ends the season. This season, it did not start the season. It's like the third on the tour because of scheduling and weather and stuff. But usually Pomona starts the season and ends the season.
Trevor Larkin, driver of the Greg Racing A-Fuel Dragster, here at In-N-Out Burgers Pomona Dragway.